puddle on.
Well, later. So, as a group or individually, does anybody have any questions, comments? Feel like you learned something thus far?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel I learned something, but my one thing, going from a lower handicap to a higher handicap in a short period of time, one thing I know about me, I lost all my confidence out there. And it's really hard, and I don't think it's hard to get your confidence back. And that's what you need to have to get your handicap down again.
Sure.
And that's one thing that I need to work on. So any thoughts
Right.
through these clinics that you
Sure.
could give us or give
Absolutely.
me to get my confidence back, because you get out there and you're like, oh, I have
You
to
know-
do this and I can't do it, and that's what's hurting me.
You know, the
big
comforting
time.
thing about that to me is that even the best players in the world struggle with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do they do it? Well, they tell themselves, there was a time when I did this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that, and they draw from that experience. You know, and I think a lot of times I'll tell myself, Mark, and this is an exaggeration, you're the world's best putter. And as I'm reading the putt and I'm nervous, maybe I got a bet on the line. Maybe this guy's talking trash, you know, all that. Tell myself, I'm the world's best putter. I'm repeating that over and over in my head. So somehow it seeps in. And I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also there's a fine line. Brad Faxon said once that when he struck a putt, and he was like religiously one of the best putters on the tour, he said he didn't care if it went in or not. And when he first said that, it was really weird. But what he's saying is, I've set up, I've practiced, I've done all this stuff. I'm putting a putting stroke on. If it goes in, great. And if it doesn't, I got to put it in the next one, you know? So you don't care if it goes in or not.
Right.
That's hard to do. You got to focus.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you took 5 minutes a day and worked on just the things that we talked about out here, you'd find you'd be a much
Yeah.
better putter,
Yeah.
more confident
Right.
putter, as you're talking
Right.
about. 65% of our shots are on a putting green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
65%.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's like 70, almost 80% from 100 yards in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that stuff too. But suffice to say, every time you finish the hole and write a score down, the last club you had in your hand was this. So it's pretty important.
Okay.
All right, I think we're done. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, one thing I did want to point out that at this course,
Sure.
this winter, and this is our rationalization, they changed the whole way that they did the greens. They used to overseed them. And, you know, we would struggle with putting, but it would usually slow down in the winter. This winter, they didn't overseed. They painted the greens, and they rolled them every
quick.
day. Well, when it was dry,
Right.
it was lightning fast. We weren't used to that.
Sure.
So, you know, it's, and then we had so much rain that we didn't play like the 3 and 4 times a week that we were so accustomed to. But you'd get out here, and the greens were so tough because they were so fast, and we're not used to them quite that fast. So, and then we go to other courses that are even harder.
Sure.
You know, we're pretty lucky because the greens are pretty flat here, but you get us on some of these undulating greens, and it's a lot tougher for us.
Well, you really have to, as she spoke, it's all confidence at that
Yeah.
point. Because
Yeah.
I was out here earlier, and I was a little befuddled, and I said, all right, play a game with yourself, just like you guys were doing. Act like you're playing in a match. And you got a 40-footer, and if you don't get it close, you might not make it, and then you're going to owe this guy $5. Well, I started putting it to, whatever it is, a quarter or whatever it is. Right? We're on 18. We're finishing the
We're
round.
women.
Right. Well,
We don't even buy a Coke from the cart girl.
We do quarters.
Yeah, I understand.
you know, in any regard,
Right.
I started hitting it closer. But I think for that, you're talking speed, obviously you have to adapt to that, right? And usually on a putting green, you have 5 minutes maybe for a round, and you might do that.
Right.
And then you're on the course, and oh my goodness, these are really fast. And so, you know, I'm very fortunate to have good rhythm, but I would say, and something Mom was telling me earlier, the guy told her for every inch, it was so many feet. You know?
Oh, really?
So for me, that's not going to work for me. but it works for her. You know, for me, I just look at the hole, and in my mind's eye, like I said, I can see where it is, and I'm hitting it to that hole, and that's how I operate. Now, some people step off a 10-footer, and you know how hard to hit that.
Right.
You know, based on the speed of the green.
Do that, yeah.
And if you're on fast greens, another thing you can do is you can putt it off the toe, which will take a little oomph out of it. You
Yeah.
can do little things like that
I've
too.
heard about that. People have told me that going downhill,
Exactly.
you putt off the toe, and I've tried that, but
So
it's
it's not as
interesting.
solid.
So, just okay, appreciate it.
But I do appreciate your time.
Well, do you want to do another one today, or what do
If
you?
you guys would like, we can.
Yes, we
Oh, after.